The purpose of the meeting is to take comments of the public and proposals as to how the upcoming CDBG budget should be allocated. The City of Lincoln Park anticipates an allocation of $787,520. We don't have the allocation as of yet. It is in your packet on the bottom of that amount. That would be coming from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the use in the 2021 program year, commencing July 1st, 2020. But that's not a true date. Lately, we haven't been getting our funding till October. So that we lose a whole construction season at that point of the game. Of this allocation, $630 and $630,016 is available to be allocated among various eligible products, with the cap of public service projects being $118,128. That's according to that allocation, because you're only allowed 15% to go towards it. As a result of our revolving loan program, we're also going to have additional funding known as program income or revolving loan available for allocation in the homeowner rehabilitation loan program and/or the housing stock improvement program. The housing stock improvement program gets the program income when we renovate a house, like we did 1534 Wilson, and sold this year. Hopefully, we haven't closed yet, so keep your fingers crossed. And that would go into program income to do another home. The 5-year consolidated plan, which was developed in 2016, will govern the allocation of these funds. Federal regulations require that all activities funded in whole or in part with CDBG funds, even if it's met with city funds together, they have to meet one of the following objectives. They must directly benefit residents with a low to moderate income, prevent or eliminate a blight or slum-producing type influence, or address community need of particular urgency for which no other funds are available. A minimum of 70% of these funds must address objective number 1, and that's direct benefit to the residents. CDBG assisted activities must comply with regulations set forth through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Historically, the city has funded 4 basic categories of activities: public service, home improvement program, infrastructure improvements, and administration. Public services include, but are not limited to, child care, health care, job training, recreation programs, education programs, public safety services, fair housing activities, services for senior citizens, services for homeless persons, drug abuse counseling and treatment, energy conservation counseling and testing. Public service activities are limited to 15% of the total program funding. The Home Improvement Program provides code-related improvements to existing homeowners. The program includes low-interest rate loans and/or deferred loans for income-qualifying households. The program, in large part, addresses the community's affordability and housing needs. The infrastructure improvements vary on a yearly basis, but have included numerous road, parks, and water and sewer projects. The interdepartmental requests for the funding this year are under Public Services, the Police Department for a Community Policing Officer, $20,000. The Police Department Crime Awareness, which is Neighborhood Watch and CPW, $25,000. The Fire Department, $36,000. This is under Public Services because they're looking to get fire detection boxes for the senior citizens only. So that would not be under infrastructure. Senior Center staffing at $25,000. Under infrastructure, we have the Community Center ADA improvements of $35,750. I will be updating your forms that will show this. It's $12,000 for the ADA buttons to go in and out of the arena, and also a platform for the handicapped. My printer jammed and all the paperwork stuck, so When I figure out how to get it unjabbed, I will get you the copies because I know most of you cannot pull down these forms, the Excel forms. Hopefully, I'll have it in your boxes tomorrow. Demolition of dangerous buildings, which will stop blight, is $75,000. Streets and utilities is $450,000. Residential rehabilitation will be funded by the loan program itself. We're not going to put any additional funding into it. Housing stock improvement program, I can't project what it's going to be because I don't know if we'll have another house done and sold during the next program year, but I'm going to project it at $90,000 of program income. The police department code enforcement would be $30,000. And we have Fran here from the Guidance Center, and I'm going to call her up. She's the only one who came today. Eileen Hogan from First Step apologizes. She doesn't like missing this, but all the board of directors and herself are down with the flu. So it's better if they're home.
Stay where they're at.
Okay, Fran.
Thank you, Doreen. Good evening, Mayor and City Council people. My name is Fran Baskevich. I'm with the Guidance Center. And first of all, I wanted to thank you for your past support of the Guidance Center and our programs that we have. We very much appreciate it, and I'm here today to ask you to renew that support in the amount of $5,000. The Guidance Center operates two buildings here in Lincoln Park, our Outer Drive facility and the Head Start on Electric Avenue in Lincoln Park. In the last fiscal year, we helped 635 the low to moderate income individuals from Lincoln Park, and through our early Head Start, and Great Start Readiness Program, 120 children were helped through the Lincoln Park Head Start site. We have been in Lincoln Park since 1958, since we began, and so, you know, Lincoln Park is our start. It's always dear to our hearts, and again, we appreciate all the support you've given us. So, if anybody has any questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. We appreciate the Guidance Center.
Thanks.
Okay, then with all the business that, is there anyone else that wishes to be heard on the CDBG?
Could I ask
From
a
the public?
question through the chair?
We're here, sure.
Doreen, how much is left under the code enforcement? They have not utilized all that they had last year. I'm just curious how much more they have sitting there.
I have to say, I haven't done a draw
Okay.
for November, December, January yet. I'm working on it now. I will be sending you a complete spreadsheet that will tell you what every program has left in it before you have to do your decisions on what you want to do with the funding. We have to spend money. I just got notified by HUD that I have to get $400,000 spent by May 1st. So we're going to have to spend quickly. No, it's not that exciting when you have to spend it by May 1st. That's a little scary for me. But I will send you all the information so you have it.
Thank you, sir, and members of the council. As Doreen's been pointing out, and she's briefed me on this, number one, there's a lot of money in play here, but you have a lot of needs. So we want to be careful with how we do this. But as indicated on this sheet, if you have this one in front of you, you can see that the most we can spend on what's called public service projects or programs is $118,000, and the request that we have is $159,000. So between now and when you have your next meeting where you're going to make some decisions, wherein she'll then put the paperwork together and send it into HUD, there'll be some, in the engineering world, they call it value engineering, as to, in other places they call it tweaking. The same goes for the infrastructure projects. When you look at, overall, she's indicating we have about $787,000 to spend. That's a lot of money, and we're very grateful for that from HUD. But we have almost $900,000 worth of requests. And so there'll be some tweaking or value engineering there. And so what you asked her to provide you is going to be critical for you to know. For instance, we'll pick one.
Excuse me.
And not that we don't like the police department, but the chief just left a moment ago, and so we'll pick on the police department. Just in community policing and crime awareness programs are two that go to the Lincoln Park Police Department. And if they can, and there's a request here from the fire department, perhaps if we have some leftover money from this year or last year that we can use and get them to get spent, we may want to reduce that $20,000 request, let's say, for community policing, maybe to 15 or something like that, so that we can stay within the $118,000 figure. One other thing we want to point out, and Doreen made this very clear to me, is this is an estimate of how much we're to receive in this upcoming year. We don't have a final figure. It could go up, but it could go down. It could be $750,000. So then that means tightening further. And we want to try to do the most good with the money that the city receives, but there may be for you to have discussion about what's your priorities. And what do you think is the most good? You're the people that control the purse strings. So we'll do our best to give you what we think we should do, but we understand that that's your call as far as how you'll spend the money. Did I cover it?
About the only other thing I have to say is the CIC committee will be meeting in February to make the citizens' decisions on how to spend the money. And when I get that together with Mr. Zeck's decisions, it'll be on another spreadsheet. And I will have the third spreadsheet with how much everybody has left. So don't expect it till towards the end of February after they meet and we get all the figures together. We don't have to vote on this until March. I'm looking for the second meeting in March because I'm not looking to have an allocation. We always had our allocations in the end of February, early March. And so when we make our allocations in March, when you guys decide what you want to do, we will put the same codicil in it that we did before. If more money is coming in, this is where we're going to put it. And if less is coming in, this is where we're taking it from. And we'll have to also, if we go the full 118,000 for public services, if that gets cut, we're going to have to cut that down a little bit more. So that would be my only other things, because you will have all the information from Mr. Zeck, from the CIC Commission, and what everybody has left.
So it's 15,000 of the total is for public services. So the total goes down from HUD, then the 15% would factor that way as well.
And public administration will go down too,
Program.
for the administrative end of it.
Yep.
Got a question through the chair for Doreen, if I may. Doreen, because we get the money so late, is there any exemption we can get to spend it later, or we're locked in? I mean,
Boy, I wish you could find a way to get that because we need it. I asked last year, and they said no. And to me, it's like this is the second year in a row that we're losing construction seasons, and we put over $300,000 to $400,000 in construction projects. So when I get the money so late and I can't do anything until I know when I'm getting it and what I'm getting, it makes it hard because the only thing I can do is ask to get the engineering, get the design and bids out. We can't award or do anything until we get the release of funds. And by the time we get the release of funds, we're put back until the next construction season. So we haven't even touched last year's construction money yet.
thank you.
But it's a good point you've made, because it may be necessary to communicate with our United States senators.
I was just
as
gonna
well
say that,
as our
yes.
United States representative that covers Lincoln Park. And in terms of If the administrative side of things is being unreasonable, that's where the city council and mayor may have to talk to the legislative side of things and put some pressure on that way. You don't want to do it you don't want to do it, but you may have to ask Senator Stabenow, Senator Peters, and our Congresswoman Debbie Dingell for some help.
Through the chair, if I may, would that be something that we could discuss at a future council meeting to
Absolutely.
make a letter from the council officially, read through a resolution or something, so that they take notice of it, plus we've made it on the record that, it seems a more forceful issue, not to, just to say we are a council and we're having this problem in our community, blah, 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 you're their representative and HUD does this second year in a row and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We would appreciate if you could look into this and maybe for the third year in a row, maybe find some kind of way of doing it.
I have to agree through the chair.
Just asking.
Councilman Kelsey,
Yeah.
if we're gonna do that, if you wanna put it in a resolution, I think there should be a resolution written by next council meeting for,
That's what, we will provide you the facts and a draft
Yeah.
and bring it on the 18th.
Thank you.
You'll have it
Thank
in the packet. If you wish to tweak it some and approve it on March 2nd, you can do it that way too. But this is serious, and she's trying her best. But if you don't get the release of funds letter until October, the construction season is basically gone. And so, and then when you have to spend so much of it by May, you can't really pave roads in January or February.
Through
And,
the chair, I'm sure this is something other communities are having problems with too. Maybe if we're going to put a resolution forward, we may want a second resolution asking other cities to do the same.
That's a good idea.
And in our case, we deal directly with HUD. Most of our neighbors are part of the urban county, which is the Wayne County program. We're fortunate in that we're considered an entitlement community. And so, but Doreen certainly has connections to the others that are entitlement communities like ourselves. I believe Redford's still one.
Redford's one, Dearborn's one,
Taylor
Taylor.
would be one. So cities over 50,000 are entitlement communities. Cities under 50,000, even though we are no longer over 50,000, there was a point in time where we were. Even though we're under 50,000, HUD has decided to keep us as an entitlement community, which is good. But that's where we would have to have your authority to send this communication to these other communities to say, we'd like your support and we'll support you.
Yeah, well, then, I'd like a second resolution prepared to do both at the
We'll do
same
both.
time.
We'll have both for you.
I agree, yeah. To the chair.
Okay, then, have no further business for the public hearing. We will conclude it at, what are we talking, 6:52, 3, 4?
It's like 6:53 to me, Mayor, from here. I got my glasses now. Bifocals.
Everybody's drinking.
They, like the kids at the school.
I don't know,
sure you
perhaps
read that
one of
line.
these people just came in, sir. I don't know if they, no? Okay.
That's a good idea, like, so you have more people.
So we're going to take a break for a couple minutes?
We are.
Okay. Would you like a bottle of water? I got some in the
Yeah.
Carlos, is
You're amazing. You were amazing and you're,
Well, the point of it is that you're kind of, somebody else creates the timeline, you gotta jump into it. That's kind of hard to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,